Alright, hi everybody, it's Bonkai922 here to bring you Magi. You know, these Magi chapters have been very crazy, very out of control, very insane, and this review is going to be called The Lesser of the Two Evils. There's a reason it's called that. Okay? But before I get into the summary, this needs to be said. Sinbad. Don't hate him. No, I don't. I'll tell you who I do hate. Cohen? So you're telling me you'd kill your own brother to protect your country? Yeah. You bring in people that, I mean, listen. They're both, I don't see, here's the thing. Sinbad? He's not really evil. I was expecting more of a real big, huge, massive thing from him. He wasn't really threatening Alibaba. He wasn't really... At the end of the day, the last thing he told Alibaba, I still consider you an ally, no matter what you do. And I'm like, huh. Cohen is the son of a bitch. I still hate Cohen. He's still talking about this unifying shit. I'm like, are you fucking on drugs? Are you on drugs, Cohen? You're still talking this shit. You're not unifying. You're taking over the fucking world. See, I'm more angry at Cohen. I don't like Cohen. I don't like how he does his shit. He's a piece of crap, in my opinion. But Sinbad? Alright, it is said, yeah, he's taking over people's minds. But, and it's true that Alibaba doesn't forgive him for what he did. This motherfucking Cohen is crazy, though. He'd kill his own brother? No. Fuck that. Fuck that. I'm sorry. I don't support Cohen. I don't support Cohen. I don't support Cohen's brothers. I think Cohen is a sleazeball. Because he's not even telling his own family, his own sisters, other siblings, what he's planning. Now, let's get into the chapter. Now, obviously, the chapter is kind of crazy. This one was 212, Magi. Dirty hands. Dirty hands. And Sinbad's basically talking through Kyoku, and he's basically just asking him how he's doing. That whole bit. How are you doing, Alibaba? Is everything going all right? That he's apologizing that he couldn't send Aladdin with him. And I was worried about Toto and everything, that whole bit. And it's like, he's wondering, how could it be? Why? And he's like, he tells him to calm down. And he basically saying, this basically happened when Sinbad was fighting with Kyoku. When they went back to Sindria. When they had that little test. This was right before they all separated. During that instance, he used his sound waves of Sinbad's jinn to penetrate and go into the person's brain. And during that time, he's able to control that person for a short period. That's basically the explanation he's giving. And basically, he sends the Rook inside their head to manipulate the body for a short period of time. And he asks him why he would do that. And Sinbad's saying he did it to watch over things around the world. And he's basically saying he's borrowing the strength of 3 people by doing this to gather information all around the world. And I'm only doing this to this extent because I'm able to distribute my Rook to a maximum of 3 people at the same time. One of them is in Ko, the other one's in my territory, and this is what got me red flag up. The other one, I cannot tell you where the third one is. Okay. Now that could mean several things. And like I said, this is definitely going to get a live stream on Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to go deep on this chapter for Tuesday. So, yeah, look forward to that. But for this specifics, it could be two things. One, he's not telling him because it's somebody that Alibaba knows close. And if that's the case, I don't know. I don't know about that. But knowing the series Magi, I don't think it could be, it might be, I don't know, it's very hard to tell. It really is. If it's someone from that Alibaba knows his friend, I don't know about that. But, give or take. And he basically states that he casted it on the princess and confront other Jin and Sandria. Because of this, he was able to create countermeasures against the Kohen Empire as fast as possible. And, Alibaba's saying, you think this is cruel and you're making her spy on her beloved brothers and friends. And he says, Alibaba, I don't, he basically going in, Sinbad saying, Alibaba, I don't make my personal feelings interfere with my information warfare. This is a self-defense measure. Basically, he brings up what happened, like, that was even stated early in Magi. Way before anything. Way before the medium, way before anything. When word of war between Sandria and Ko was sprouting. And he's like saying, dude, you was on the verge of war. He needed information close to the core of the Ko Empire, and the same intelligence activities are surely employed by both Ko and Reem. And he basically says to him, I will use any dirty method in order to protect my country. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he goes further. Now, this is the thing that upset me about Sinbad. He says, it's not as serious as you think, saying that there is really not going to be a war. And I'm like, really? Well, that's not what Moose said from Reem. He thinks there's going to be a world war. Sinbad, I'll take your word for it, but, yeah. But at least that's what he states. That's not as serious. It won't be a world war. And he's basically saying at the upcoming summit, we will just continue negotiations. And he further goes in saying that, he understands your feelings of returning to the country as well, since several of them are in the same position as you. He brings up Sharkin, saying that he was a prince from an exiled country. And he's like, and then Alibaba's like, my master was? And he says, and then he brings up Aladdin, and when I first heard this, Sinbad saying this to Alibaba, I thought, he's going to take Alibaba away? No. What he meant was, Aladdin. To take Aladdin away. What he specifically says, Sinbad, is that Aladdin too, you promised to make him choose what he wants to do by himself, no matter what will happen from now on. But if you are silent about betraying Sandria, you can just pretend to follow the Ko Empire's orders. What he meant there with Aladdin, I think what, Sinbad meant was that for Aladdin to choose his own path, for him to do what he wanted to do, choose it on his own. That has nothing to do with taking him away or anything. And then after that, he smiles, and then Sinbad, Alibaba was talking to Sinbad then and says, I can't do what you ask. What will happen if Balbad is this plot is discovered? I can't betray this second time. That's why. When I become a vassal of the Ko Empire, I will fight for real. And I will tell. And then he says he's going to tell. And then Sinbad's like, you're showing some determination there, but you better think well about it. Saying that if it comes to truth that he's controlling her, will be bad. And then, this is like the only time Sinbad shows any evil intention. Word for word, he basically says, in what miserable position will Princess Kyokoku be driven inside the Kouen Empire if they discover that there is interception magic set up by an enemy country inside of her head? And he's given an angry look, Alibaba, and he says, and this is what Sinbad says. It's the last thing he says. Well, let's meet at the summit. One last thing. Remember that I will consider you my ally, no matter what you do. See you. That alone, that last quote from Sinbad alone, tells me this. Sinbad is not evil. He's not. He's just trying to protect his country. Now, both Cohen and him are doing the same thing. But Cohen is worse. Cohen is worse. And I don't care if people like Cohen. Listen, Cohen is a son of a bitch. Okay? This motherfucker's trying to take over the world. Okay? You cannot take over the world and say, we're unifying. No. It doesn't work that way. You can't do that. So, for Sinbad, well, he's doing what he can to protect his country. That's the way it is. Cohen is an evil son of a bitch. And I'll get into that as I'm going into this. And then we basically see that Kyokoku is sleeping then, and, Alibaba's basically saying he used her without her knowing or anything. And she was saying how she was going to have your friend and everything, and then Alibaba says, I can't forgive Sinbad, for doing this thing to her. But, and then we go to the next page, and we see him on the ship with Cohen. And we go into Cohen then. And he's accepting Cohen's thing. And then we get into this whole other thing. Cohen explains, he asks Cohen, Alibaba, are you part of tharmen? Are you aligned with him? And he's like, oh, they're just part of me. They're part of Ko. Okay, so they're part of you? Are you going to destroy them? Like, that whole explanation totally threw me off. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're part of your body? They're part of Ko. Okay. Well, they better be unpart of Ko, because if by some miracle, now I don't think that means, when he meant there, Cohen, was that they're part of the Ko Empire, but he's going to get rid of them, or seemingly try. Because if he's part of tharmen, I'm sorry. This can't go. You need to, Also, what was explained from this conversation was, he goes in to say about, also Alibaba also told him that he doesn't intend to tell Morgiana and the others that he's accepted to go to Ko yet. And he's like, no. And he basically says they are part of the Ko Empire. Part of the Ko Empire. And he goes into this rant, Cohen, not rant, but story about saying that, can you really trust the people of Balbad? That everyone is pure, and basically he's saying that not everyone in your country is good. And then he further goes in to say about, that to an extent, that sort of country doesn't exist. And Alibaba's like, you don't trust anybody? Not necessarily. I trust my brothers, my siblings. And then he mentions Hakurei. That's why I feel guilty toward Hakurei. Feel guilty. That Hakurei was born as the Emperor Akutuko's son, but I will not allow him to become king, even though he was the son of the emperor. And he's like, what do you mean? He is the king vessel, unable to swallow up his hatred, which then points to this. He must know that Hakurei is into depravity, or at least to some extent. Then he's just going into basically details saying, one day when Baba becomes yours, you must not get rid of the people who you hate. There is no end to it. If you try to get rid of them, they will not be a single person remaining in your country. And he goes in to say, this was the whole spiel with Cohen. He's saying about, I'm building a nest in my body, a nest in which I keep the strength of monsters, no matter how repulsive they look. I will turn that monster into a weapon and continue to go forward. And he goes on to say the thing about, right now in this age, we have all these dungeons and metal users, and so on and so forth. And saying it is the same with Hakurei, that most of the people will try to portray me. And then that's when Alibaba's like, oh yeah, but he's going to try to revolt against you. And he's like, I reckon he poses no threat to me because I've been inducing him that way. I'm like, oh shit. That's why I don't like Cohen. I seriously doubt Sinbad would attempt to kill his own brother. He's no threat. So then basically, Alibaba's thinking this person set up a trap just against Hakurei, just like Sinbad. And he brings up, I will use any dirty method to protect my country. And Alibaba's thinking to himself, they are saying they will sacrifice anyone in order to protect their countries. I can only fight with my metal vessel. I can't do anything else. Is this what it takes to be a king vessels? I don't understand Aladdin. Then they basically see the island, and they see the people greeting them, and it's the, generals, and they're saying, we've been looking forward to your arrival, Prince Ren Cohen. And it says on the bottom, the summit that will determine the fate of the world is about to begin. 17 minutes. If that's Cohen's mindset, no. I have more respect for Sinbad than Cohen. Cohen is a dirty motherfucker. He would kill his own brother. Listen, that's what it seems to me. I'm telling you guys right now, that's what it seems to me. I don't give a shit who's a Cohen fanboy. You must be out of your mind to be a fan of this guy. Out of your mind. This guy wants to take over the world. That's beside the point. He wants to take over the world. He wants to do this and that. He wants to... If Tharmen's a part of the Kohen Empire, he didn't even say, yes, no, I'm not an ally with them. He was moving around the subject. And he was saying, oh, they are part of the Kohen Empire. They are part of me, of my body. I'm like, no, we can't have this. Alibaba can't sign with him. If I was Alibaba, I'd go to Ring. I'm dead serious. I'd go to Ring. I would, because you know why? It's perfect. The finalists are in Ring. Morgiana's finalists. That's where you need to go. This is the way I see it, people. I don't trust Cohen. Not a bit. I will trust Sinbad before I trust Cohen. True, Sinbad, okay, yeah, he's taking over people's minds. That's all he's doing. This motherfucker, Cohen, wants to take over the world. This would kill. That's what it seems to me. This motherfucker might be in league with Al Tharmen, with what he was saying. But we have to wait and see. I have no ill will to Sinbad, though. And I don't think he's evil. I think Sinbad, it's as true as the true can be. He, just trying to protect his country. It's simple as that. These chapters are getting very good and very interesting as we go along. Now, the last thing I want to mention, which I don't want to mention too much here, I'm only going to go 19 minutes, and plus I'm going to go on this on Tuesday in a live stream with other people. Aladdin. I want to know Aladdin's mindset going into this summit. Because if his mindset is, Alibaba. If Alibaba tells him, 20 minutes. If Alibaba tells him what went down, what's Aladdin going to think? Tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Like I said, I'll go in on this on Tuesday. This was a crazy chapter, 5 out of 5. I gotta figure Aladdin is going to have the same mindset as Alibaba because of what Yunnan was telling Aladdin. So we'll have to wait and see until next week. Bonkai 922. I'll see you guys later. Yeah, Sinbad. Sinbad's an okay. Sinbad's okay. I don't want to get hate from people who like Sinbad. I like Sinbad too. But Cohen, get the fuck out. Okay? Why don't you go drown yourself in the water? Someone push him off the boat. Give me a fucking break. See you guys later.